How's it going, guys? It's Max from Max's Film Corner. I'm bringing you a review of the movie Drop. Drop was directed by Christopher Landon, who also directed Happy Death Day, Happy Death Day 2, and I believe he wrote Disturbia, which is one of my favorite films, by the way. And it also stars Meghann, Fahy, and Brandon Sklenar. The movie centers around a widowed mother going on her first date in a few years after going through a tragedy. And she, on this first date, which is in a skyrise, by the way, she starts getting these airdrops from an unknown number, and it kind of puts her in this thrilling situation where she starts to question if maybe her date is the one behind all of this. So it kind of leaves a little bit of mystery. The movie overall, I'll just start off just saying I enjoyed it. The acting and chemistry between Meghann Fahy and Brandon Sklenar was really good. I thought that they had really good charm, and they bounced off of one another very well. And then moving into some of the other characters, there was a lot of quirky characters, particularly like the waiter was, I think, more so like the comedy relief for the film. But it was tasteful. Like, he wasn't over the top, but you'd be going through like an intense moment, and then he would just kind of like say some crazy shit or be very awkward, and it would be a little bit funny. So I think that worked really well. Overall, I think the tone is relatively serious. It's very thrilling. There's not a lot of like horror aspect to this film besides the fact of maybe like this potentially happening to you in real life, which is definitely scary. Basically, from the get-go, you kind of get a beginning opening scene of kind of what's gone on in her past, which comes back into the later end of the film with kind of like a reveal of like what happened, because it's kind of told in a way where she did something and she didn't end up doing that, essentially, in the end of the film. So I don't know if that really worked for me. I'm not going to spoil it. I don't want really any spoilers in this review. But you'll see what I mean if you watch the film. Some of the things that I liked about the film was, one, I think there was a lot of like tasteful transitions, and there's a lot of stylism, I felt, just to the directing and editing of the film. Like, for example, too, like when she'd get these airdrop messages, they would be kind of displayed like graphically on the screen next to her, so it wasn't her like always checking her phone like 24/7, because that would have got kind of old. And they did like one of my favorites was this scene where it's kind of like a perspective, like looking upward to her, like sitting down, and it basically takes the walls around her and shows different like video clips of like her home, essentially. And it's not really giving anything away, but it was just really cool, really stylistic. I really enjoyed that. So I thought like all of that was very tasteful and well done. I felt like the pacing of the movie was pretty good as well. There wasn't like really too many moments where I didn't have some kind of tension, or I wasn't like questioning, different characters, because this really turned into like a whodunit film. And so, you get introduced to all these different characters kind of when she arrives to the restaurant. And so from that point, you start to think like, this guy's kind of funny, or maybe this chick, she's being real smooth, the bartender, and maybe she's up to no good. Who knows? So you really start questioning different things. Eventually, as the film goes on and narrows down a few of those people, it kind of becomes relatively obvious. At least, I shouldn't say obvious in just picking like who you think the person's going to be that's behind it all. Like that, I kind of was, questioning for most of the film until it kind of came down to, who's left. And then you really think like, shit, you got to roll this person out for sure now. And so it's like, you kind of just come to that conclusion. But that's not a bad thing. I think they did a really good job with that. A lot of times, like, you can tell right off the bat with films, who the enemy or, the villain of the film would be. But, yeah, so overall, pacing was pretty solid. There were moments that you really kind of had to suspend the belief, though. Like, for example, like, once she gets into this situation, it's full throttle, and you realize, like, how much control this person has over her and, like, her son and family, even. it gets ridiculous in a way where like she can't like, call the cops. She can't do this. She can't do that. And it's like all these like different rules and like threats and stuff coming at her. So she's acting like really bizarre and really crazy. And even more so like over the top than, a nervous first date type of thing. It's, it gets to a point where you're like, thinking of Brandon Sklenar's character and you're like, dude, just fucking leave. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is just out of control. And there's moments where he goes to do that and she somehow kind of like swoons him back in, which I did like though. Like, despite it being kind of not realistic, I really love that his character, kind of stuck around and supported her and had, just a good role within the film. And I gotta say too, the dude, I haven't seen him in anything, but he reminds me of like a new age Brad Pitt. I think that dude's gonna skyrocket in Hollywood. And even down, like besides like his character and like wondering like, why he wouldn't want to leave. You think of like some of the other characters, like the bartender chick, she definitely, you could tell, had a connection with her, kind of related to her in the dating scope. And also at one point, which I felt was way too late in the film, like kind of even came up to her and was like, yo, I know you're acting weird for a reason. And it's not because of this first date. And it's like, it took too long for these people to like say that, I feel, just for the sake of the movie to carry on. But beyond that, like just like the setting I thought was super cool too, in the sense that it had like a really shining vibe to it, like the wallpaper, the lighting, just the way the art and like the place was laid out. It really reminded me of like the Shining Hotel, and you'll see what I mean if you watch the film. The overall plot, and I don't want to like reveal too much, but the way I guess that Brandon Sklenar's character is intertwined in the story and like why everything is kind of happening to her character, I think is a little outrageous. It's kind of like it almost reminds me of like an enemy of the state type of thing, where it's like kind of governmental powers kind of going way too far to, basically like take out or remove just an ordinary guy because of some kind of thing that he has held over them, if that makes sense. I'm really trying not to spoil it. That, it didn't really work for me either, like, too well. It just was kind of crazy. Like, I feel they could have easily done what they wanted her to do in the film themselves, and in a way quicker, faster, sneakier way, even given, or not even, but given that they had the power and authority that they did. So that was just a little bit of like a for me, but overall, in short, like I did enjoy the film. I think it was a fun watch. I definitely think you could enjoy it on streaming. I don't think you have to go out to the theaters to see it, even though I love going to the theaters myself. So, kind of just depends here and there for that. But I think you'd enjoy it. If you like thriller movies, you like to be on the edge of your seat, you like a little bit of romance, I think this would be really up your alley. If you take it a little too seriously and you want the story to be a lot more grounded and believable, that might be something that kind of like, makes you not really like it that much. I'd probably give this film a solid like 3 out of 5 stars, just because I really enjoyed the acting, the direction, the style of it all. I think it was fun too. It was a really quick runtime, hour and 30 minutes. So yeah, I'd give this movie a shot. And if you stuck around this long, I appreciate you, and I look forward to bringing you some other content. I think I'm going to rock a I Know What You Did Last Summer ranking, and maybe talk about the upcoming film, as that's a franchise that I really enjoy. And yeah, if you could drop a comment, start a discussion with me, drop a like, subscribe, I'd really, really appreciate that. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks.